Moving on to the changes for the Eastern Front factions now, starting out with Ostheer. Light Mechanized Company. Manpower cost is being reduced of this from 200 to 100 manpower, so a pretty decent manpower cost reduction. Should help you keep pace with US forces, I would say, in the early game. Tend to be quite a struggle as Ostheer around that timing, getting tier 2. They get the officer, they get their light vehicle, and then you're in a bit of trouble. So this should help you, especially in the USF matchup, I'd say. In pre-patch, I'd say probably the most successful strategies, at least in 1v1, were tier 2 tech skips, such as maybe you're going for like a Assault Grenadier strategy, or maybe with the 250. So yeah, just a buff to Ostheer outside of those kind of strategies. Pioneers, the Minesweeper upgrade now improves repair speed by 0.3 per model, so that's a pretty decent boost. Should decrease repair times by a decent chunk, and kind of nice because with Pioneers, you maybe upgrade them with the Flamethrower, then they get to Vet 2, and then they get the enhanced repair speed at Vet 2. So you don't really need bonus repair speed if you're going for like a Flamethrower upgrade, but if you're stuck with the Sweepers, it can be really hard to get them to Vet 2. This just gives you like the option for boosting your repair times, or decreasing your repair times rather. Grenadiers are getting a big change here. The Vet 3 minus 23% received accuracy bonus is being replaced by a minus 20% damage reduction. So this is a big change here. Going to make them less vulnerable to explosives such as like tanks, or most notably grenades and mortars, or even rocket artillery. Quite a lot of things like grenades tend to do 80 damage. So grenades won't be one-shot wiping Vet 3 Grenadiers anymore. Similar with rocket artillery, most rockets do 80 damage per hit, so they won't be getting wiped by that either. So this should make Grenadiers a lot more survivable, but they will actually be slightly worse in small arms firefights. So I'm not really sure if this change is going to be too strong, too weak, or whatever, but we'll have to keep a close eye on this change because this could be a problem. The Ostheer mortar is receiving a small change here. The counter barrage range is going up from 80, which is the standard mortar range, and its standard range on auto fire barrage, to 100. So a slight boost on the range of counter barrage. 100, I believe, is the same range as the 120mm mortar. So counter barrage will now be a more effective tool when facing off against the 120mm mortar. But the pack outs will still be able to slightly outrange this. So just a small buff to the mortar there, make the counter barrage ability a lot more useful. The 222 is getting a small buff here. The coaxial machine gun penetration is going from 1 at all ranges to 1.3 close, 1.1 far. So this is the same as the 221/223 that OKW have in elite armor. It's just a pretty small buff here. It does make a noticeable difference though against things like shock troops, which have a small amount of number, and maybe some other light vehicles. Here's the 222 against some shock troops. Let's see if we can notice the difference from that machine gun penetration bonus. Yeah, well, maybe is slightly noticeable, I'd say, but certainly not lighting the world on fire. Just a very slight boost in its performance in this department. The 251 half-track is undergoing a lot of changes here. Sight range is going up from 35, which is most units' default sight range, to 42, so a nice little boost in sight range, make it easier to position this. However, that sight bonus is being removed if you decide to upgrade this with the flame projectors. So the flame projector, which is basically the only time you saw the half-track used, is not going to be getting any stronger in the sight department at least. Also, if you put infantry squads that are damaged inside the half-track, they will heal. Healing though is disabled when the half-track itself is in combat, but nice option there. One of the real issues with using the half-track on the front lines is eventually you just kind of ran out of manpower. Be reinforcing your squads constantly, but they'll be super low on health and then be dropping models like crazy and you just completely run out of manpower. So maybe this can alleviate that somewhat, but it's still going to be tricky to use. You have to get the squads in and out of the half track. So it's not like it's without its own costs and very easy ability to use. It comes with some drawbacks. The sight range multiplier from the spotting scopes upgrade has been reduced to 1.6. This is to counteract the bonus we got up here, so it'll work out to be the same thing basically. The Vet 1 infantry awareness ability is being replaced by a shoe mine Allows the half-track to plant a shoe mine for 30 munitions, 10-second plant time. So this is a pretty spicy new Vet 1 ability for the half-track. Not many people were using the Vet 1 infantry awareness ability anyway, so not too much for loss in that department. But yeah, this could be really spicy, being able to plant mines with the half-track. I know you can do that doctrinally with the Regal mine. And you know, it doesn't look like this is locked out by the flame projector upgrade, so you could do some like sneaky maneuvers, you know, get this up very quickly with the flame projectors and then plant mines all over the map, try bait your opponent's light vehicle into them. Could work out to be quite strong with this new Vet 1 ability. So taking a look at the extra sight range that the half-track gives, as you can see, it gives you a huge amount of sight all the way out to this purple line here. Compare that to like a regular squad when it goes out the yellow line, so 7 range less. And once you get the Vet 3 sight bonus on this as well, that's going to be pretty scary. So now Vet 3, look at the sight going all the way out to here. Compare that to a Grenadier back here. That is a huge amount of extra sight, going to make the 251 really good at reconnaissance if you don't upgrade it with the flame projectors. Taking a look at the plant shoe mine ability, pop that down here, right underneath it, so you guys can see how long it takes. But yeah, 10-second plant time. Shoe mine goes down. That's the new Vet 1 ability. Panzergrenadier and Stormtroopers are being changed. The cost is going up from 25 to 50, but they're being buffed. The mid accuracy is going up by a decent chunk. Same with the far accuracy. Also, the far cooldown is going down, so they'll be firing more rapidly. And the far aim time is also going down. So yeah, this is just making the Panzergrenadier and Stormtrooper G43 upgrade a little bit more powerful in return for an increased cost, because this upgrade wasn't seeing much play at all. So now testing some G43 Panzergrenadiers against some double bar riflemen long range. See how they get on. Once again, we're doing this 3 ways. The results from the others. So the reason why I would pick double bar riflemen is this is probably a squad you're going to be too scared to close in on, so their long range performance against the squad is going to be quite important. Looks like the riflemen are going to win this one. Remember, you do have to spend 120 munitions to get double bars versus only 50 on the Panzergrenadiers. Looks like the riflemen won pretty handily there, 3 models. This one going right down to the wire. Oh, rifleman just sneaking that one out. So it looks like double bar riflemen will overpower them long range. And now G43 P-Grens against Penals long range. Another squad you might encounter. Might be a veterancy discrepancy, but we'll see how it goes regardless. Doesn't look like it's going too well for the P-Grens. See up here as well, doesn't seem like it's going too well for them in the other arenas.
We have lost a squad.
Yeah, they lost over here. 3 models, slightly below half health. Looks like the P-Grens are going to win here. And Penals win over here, 2 models. Close to full health on those 2 models as well. So very narrow win for the P-Grens here. So looks like you're going to want to close the distance with the Panzergrenadiers if you're facing Penals long range. Now G43 P-Grens charging into Penals from max range. Also important to note that this G43 package does give you bonus sight, I believe up to 42, same as the half-track got. Charge in here. In here. See how this goes. So G43 is very good on the move, very good moving performance. Okay, so they win over here with still 2 models around half health. Similar story over here, 2 models slightly less than half health, and lose over here, Penals at 2 models. So it looks like they are on average going to beat the Penals, but not by a huge margin if they have to close the distance from max range. The bunker that's upgraded with the MG42 upgrade is being nerfed slightly here. The sight bonus is going down. So sight range is going down from 55 to 40. Pretty decent nerf to sight range. Hopefully this will curb a little bit of bunker spam and late game team game scenarios. The Tiger is undergoing a few changes here. The command point requirement is going down from 13 to 9, but it now requires a battle phase 3 to be researched to be deployed. But you don't need the tier 4 tech structure itself down, so it is a little bit more affordable than the Tiger Ace. The AoE is being reworked so that the near and mid are going down, but the far is going up. The scatter is also going way down, so it's going to be much more accurate shooting at infantry. And the veterancy requirements are also going down by a pretty sizable chunk, so should be able to vet this up quite easily now. So here we have the Ostheer Tiger against a squad of riflemen at close to max range. Oh, that guy took a big hit. So I think we got a little bit of bad RNG on the scatter this time. Seemed to be a lot worse than the OKW Tiger that we saw the other day, and that has the same stats. A quick retest. Oh, those guys are a little bit clumped now. So definitely faster on the second test. Not by a huge margin. Looks like, you know, fine, this is close to max range. If the squad's spread out like this, you can expect to knock off like about one model per shot. But if they're clumped up, you know, maybe you could still get a big hit. And now the Tiger against a clumped up squad close range. So dead. Even, you know, this model was a little bit further off to the right and still died, so can still be pretty potent close range. The Struggy is undergoing a few changes here. This is the one in the Mechanized Assault Commander and Defensive. The command point requirements are going down from 7 to 5, but it's going behind tech. Now requires Battle Phase 2 before you can call it in, kind of similar to the Puma. The spotting scopes upgrade is being changed. There's going to be a 1.5 second delay before the sight range is increased. So you have to be stationary for 1.5 seconds before you get that bonus sight. So a pretty decent nerf to spotting scopes. Very hard to outmaneuver these in their late game, team game scenarios. So nice change there. Should make them a lot worse at chasing down vehicles. You know, like previously you could chase down a vehicle, hit stop, get your shot off with the increased sight, and then keep driving. And if you're really good at the glide shooting, you could really take advantage of the spotting scope. So that won't be the case any longer. The supply drop in the Osttroop Commander is undergoing a few changes here. The command points are going down from 4 to 3, and also the manpower cost is going down from 450 to 400. So a pretty good buff here to the supply drop. The Command Panzer IV receiving some changes here, also going behind tech. So going from 9 command points to 7, but now requires either the Support Armor Core or the Heavy Panzer Core to be built in order to be deployed. So coming in at the same time as other tanks. However, to compensate for this, the fuel cost is going way down from 125 to 100. So, you know, this fuel cost kind of competing against the Flak Panzer, and I would say probably like a viable alternative to the Flak Panzer. Flak Panzer may be performing a little bit better in the anti-infantry duties, but, you know, getting the aura is always quite nice. However, the aura is being nerfed. The aura damage reduction modifier has been changed from 0.8 to 0.9. This should have happened in a patch about a year ago, so just normalizing that should have happened quite some time ago. It was in the patch notes, but never actually ended up happening, but finally happening now. Slight change here to the Jaeger Command Squad. The command point requirements are going down from 3 to 2, so it's going to be coming in a little bit earlier. A few changes to target weak point. Previous to this, there were a lot of abilities called target weak point, but they all did different things. So a few of them are being renamed. The Strug E and the Strug G are being renamed from target weak point to heat shell. So these ones do a turret jam rather than a stun. And the Ostheer Puma's target weak point is just being outright replaced by the OKW Puma's aim shot. And I believe this is a mild buff here because in its current iteration, I believe aim shot was better than the Ostheer Puma's target weak point. So slight buff there to the Puma. The 250 mortar half track is being changed. The incendiary barrage is now going to be the same as the LEIG incendiary barrage, which also got buffed this patch. It's going to fire 4 rounds over the targeted area. The cost of that barrage is also going down from 45 to 35, and similar to the Ostheer mortar, counter barrage range is going up from 80 to 100. So you don't see too much mortar half track play overall, and maybe with these changes we'll see a little bit more of it, especially against like emplacements. Having the incendiary barrage being cheaper and firing 4 rounds might be a nice change. Moving on to Soviets now, starting out with Support Weapon Company. This is tier 2, the one build Maxim, mortar and machine gun from. Fuel cost is going down on that from 20 to 15. So the Conscript's Mobilise Reserves upgrade, the 7-man upgrade as it's otherwise known. There were quite a lot of complaints pre-patch about this upgrade coming in too late, even though it's a very, very powerful upgrade. So a couple of changes here to make it maybe slightly more accessible if you really want to get it earlier. You can get this side upgrade once your tier 3 tech structure is deployed for 100 manpower and 20 fuel. Also requires Molotov and the AT grenade package to be researched to unlock the side upgrade. And after you get that side upgrade, you can then get these 7-man conscripts, or just the same as pre-patch, you can get them at tier 4. So just offering another avenue to get the Conscript 7-man upgrade a little bit earlier if you're really desperate. So a demonstration of the Conscript Mobilise Reserves side upgrade. Here it is on tier 3. 100 manpower, 25 fuel at the moment. I believe it's supposed to be 20, so maybe we'll patch that out. But as you can see here, it requires Molotov package and anti-tank grenade package. We can upgrade. I've got speed ups on, so we can activate those straight away. We'll disable those speed ups so we can see how long the side upgrade takes. Excuse me. So it's actually like a pretty decent chunk of time here. Or it might be quite quick. Maybe this is comparable to like a weapon rack tech, but yeah. Okay, there, so Mobilise Reserves is done, and now I can get that upgrade on my conscripts. So let's look at the side upgrade for Mobilise Reserves. It requires both Molotovs, anti-tank grenades, and then the side tech on the tier 3 tech structure. The Maxim is being changed here, a couple buffs to its suppression. The nearby suppression radius is going up from 13 to 15. So if 2 squads are coming in, they can be slightly further apart now, and the Maxim will be able to suppress both of them. And on top of that, the nearby suppression multiplier is going up from 1 to 1.1, so be applying a little bit more suppression to them as well. So pretty big buffs here to the Maxim in terms of stopping like blobs. So testing out the new Maxim suppression, I got a blob of Volksgrenadiers here. Let's see how it goes. Try to spread it out a little bit. So I managed to catch every squad there in the suppression. This squad's maybe a little bit far out, such that they could crawl away from the others. But catching a blob like that was very impressive. And if you manually control the Maxim, you could probably get suppression on this one as well. So yeah, it does look like it's going to be much better at stopping blobs. Combat engineers undergoing kind of similar changes to re-echelon. Their damage per shot is going down from 16 to 12, but the accuracy is going up. I believe they're getting conscript Mosins. Not sure if this is an outright damage increase or not, but just kind of making them more reliable rather than just hoping that you get some good accuracy rolls in those small arms firefights. And also, similar to the Ostheer Pioneers, if you get the Minesweep upgrade on the combat engineers, they're going to have improved repair speed of 0.3 per model. So checking the revised combat engineers, we're going to have Pioneers charging into them from long range. See how it all goes. Pioneer's going to win this one. This one a very close fight. You can handy win there. So pretty close to even, and then Pioneers winning this one as well. Koichi's a little bit far away now. Pioneers still winning across the board, and it kind of does make sense, you know, they are 30 manpower more expensive. Airborne Guards undergoing a slight change here to their DP28 drop rate, going down from 0.33 to 0.1. Because they have 3 DP28s, you know, they often drop them, so slightly decreasing their drop rate as they die, so hopefully they don't drop quite so many weapons now, should be a lot more fair. Standard Guards already have a change like this so that they don't pinata their weapons like the DPs and the LMGs, whereas that used to be the case a very long time ago. The ZIS and the Su-76 HE barrages are undergoing a couple changes here. The near damage is going way down, so it should be significantly less likely to just like one-shot wipe things. But, you know, slight buffs to its far AoE, slight buffs to its mid AoE damage, should be doing a little bit more consistent damage. So testing out the revised light artillery barrage on the ZIS here. Reasonably close range barrage. So about half health first shot. Direct hit, didn't knock out any models. Second shot, with some good damage there. So yeah, as you can see there, the first shot, even when it lands flush, is unlikely to knock out a model. So you're not going to be just like nuking a whole squad in one shot anymore, but still can be very potent against a cluster of infantry. So testing the light artillery barrage again, but this time close to max range on 3 squads. So yeah, we'll do kind of moderate damage. Still seems to be like pretty good in terms of scatter left and right, but can scatter long. So that's a look at the revised light artillery barrage. Did you notice that as well? When I did the barrage, the range on that range indicator seemed to extend. Unusual. Guards rifle hit the dirt ability is being renamed because it gives different bonuses to conscript hit the dirt. Don't want any confusion about what these two abilities do, so being changed from hit the dirt to firing positions. The conscript assault package is going to be coming online earlier. Command point requirements are going down from 3 to 2. You're going to get those PPSH conscripts a little bit earlier. Shock troops undergoing a small change here. The frag and smoke cooldown are going up from 20 to 28 seconds. It's becoming a little bit of a problem once they hit Vet 1. They could just basically constantly lay down smoke. You'd constantly have to inch your units back, especially playing as Ostheer with your machine guns. So just a slight change here to the grenade cooldowns to make that a little bit less viable, a little bit easier to deal with. Assault guards are getting a change here. These are the guards that come in the half-track and the Lend-Lease commander. Don't see almost any play at the moment. So they are being changed, so they have 3 Thompson submachine guns as well as SVTs instead of PPSHs. So a little bit more on theme for the Lend-Lease commander. Testing out the revised assault guards, we're going to be charging them into some P-Grens from max range. I have no idea how this engagement is going to go. Maybe not so well. Let's wait and see. With the first engagement. So they're winning there. Winning here. And winning here. I was not expecting that. I thought the P-Grens would be able to hold their ground, but apparently not. Looks like because, you know, the Thompson transfers from model to model, you know, you lose the SVT models first, and then the assault guards actually maintain their DPS towards the end of the battle. So that was a bit of a surprise for me there. So now assault guards versus Panzergrenadiers long range. Imagine in this scenario the SVT models dropping off will be a disadvantage. So now all of these guys are getting down to the Thompson models only, and now the Panzergrenadiers are really starting to pick them apart. Oops. So yeah, it looks like pretty close to level pegging, whilst the guards are above 4 models, but then once they're down to just the Thompsons alone, they really get shredded long range. So if you're using these assault guards and they're low in models, make sure you're only using them in close range engagements. Partisan troops are undergoing a few changes to solidify their role as infiltration, harassment and ambush infantry, rather than just outright stats boosts. So sight range is going up from 35 to 42, so a decent chunk more sight on the Partisans. Should be able to spot their targets coming from longer range now. Capture and decapture rate is going up from 1 to 1.25, so they'll be able to capture territory more rapidly. Might be very helpful if you're trying to deploy them behind enemy lines, go for like a cutoff or something. You'll be able to get those cutoffs off earlier. They get a 50% first strike accuracy bonus at Vet 2 when attacking from stealth, so a nice little buff to them in terms of ambushing. And at Vet 1 they get a new ability, the Concussive Trap. It can be planted on captured territory points. 10 munitions, temporarily stuns the enemy squad that enters the capture circle, and the trap takes 10 seconds to plant. So testing out Partisans' new ambush bonus, we're going to be charging some Vet 5 Volksgrenadiers into them.
You have orders?
Key with this is to spring the trap before they get in sight detection range. Not too early. Yeah, so a pretty handy one there if they get like ideal circumstances, fully paying attention, ideal ranges and everything. Now testing the concussive trap, gonna plant it down here. Oh, the Partisans getting busy there. I'm gonna run this enemy squad into the capture circle. Sure, these guys are right around the corner. So it goes off, looks like it might do like 5 damage or so to each model and stuns them in place. So very similar to a concussive grenade. Partisan tank guns are also getting buffed. Their reinforcement cost is going way down from 33 to 26. This is one of the big issues if you tried to play with these before. Their bleed was just crazy high. Their reinforcement time is going down from 7 to 5, so after they've retreated, and you'll be able to get them back on the battlefield more rapidly, and also affected by the partisan changes above. So I imagine that means they get the extra sight, the extra decap range, the 50% accuracy bonus, so they might help you land your first trick on an enemy vehicle coming out of stealth. That should be quite nice. And the concussive trap. So overall, a lot of buffs to the partisan tank hunters. The KV-1 is getting a new Vet 1 ability called Hull Down mode. Held down gives a small reload time bonus and minus 20% received damage. So the KV-1 when in this held down mode is going to be very hard to kill. On top of that, the KV-1 also gets increased performance on the hull and coaxial machine guns to match those of the T-34-76. So overall, quite a lot of buffs to the KV-1 here. I think this is going to be quite good in this patch. So taking a look at the new KV-1 Vet 1 ability, held down mode. Activating it there. And now it's got some sandbags, a few like digging in kind of animations going on. Okay, so sandbags appear pretty early on, but maybe that's like a good visual indicator for your opponent that you're going into their mode, so that's probably a nice function. And during this you're unable to move around. Now we'll see the improved performance of those received damage and rate of fire bonuses. We have three engagements going on. 2 just head-to-head against the Panther, and 1 rear armor versus Panther. We'll see how they all get on. Does take quite a few shots to knock it down. So Panther winning there, Panther winning here, similar amount of health. Panther winning massively over here. I suppose the turret had to turn around, but yeah, just completely overwhelming. So it looks like the Panther is still going to be favoured in a head-to-head fight, but not by a huge amount. So if it's backed up by some other form of AT, better be careful with your Panthers. The IS-2 is undergoing similar changes to other Call-in heavy tanks. It can be deployed at 10 command points and requires tier 4 to be built. The scatter is going down by a good chunk here from 7.5 to 5.75. And similar to other heavy tanks, their near damage is going down, but their fire is going up. I think there are a few typos in here, so don't know exactly what the numbers are. So the IS-2 getting a new Vet 1 ability called Fragmentation Shell, which replaces the secure mode. So it's got a pretty big AoE of 8, and deals 120 damage. Also, if you land this on a vehicle, it will do a mini stun to them on hit or deflection. So if it fails to penetrate, it will still do a mini stun on your opponent's vehicle. So testing out the IS-2 max range against a Volksgrenadier. Pretty impressive. Wow, that was really good. Seemed to be better than the Tiger, maybe better than the King Tiger as well, by a pretty sizable margin. Rerunning that just in case I got lucky. So there we go, a little bit of a miss on that occasion. Still knows about a quarter of the squad's health though. We've kind of crawled to be a little bit more spread out now as well. Another miss. Here we go, connecting 2 models down. Okay. Oh, this model must be just out of range. Yes. Very narrowly out of range, so it wouldn't auto attack it. That's a little bit unusual. But yeah, on the second test you saw there, not quite as impressive as the first one, but still pretty strong. Still appears to be maybe better than the Tiger at this long range. Seems to have a better AoE on its gun and not too much worse scatter. And now close range against a clump squad. Oof. Bit of a whiff. Oh, miles off target. There we go, connects. Does pretty sizable damage to the whole squad. You know, even those on that side still did a lot of damage to the 3 models on the other side of the blast. So yeah, I mean the scatter on that occasion was pretty bad close range, but direct hit will still wipe infantry, and even if you're close to it, you'll still get some pretty decent damage on the nearby models. So now testing the new IS-2 Vet 1 ability, the Fragmentation Shell, 45 munitions available at Vet 1. This is called a Volksgrenadiers. A little bit underwhelming there. Like a direct hit on that model that was in the middle, didn't even kill it. Quite a long delay before this fires as well. But it looks like its performance against infantry maybe not that strong. We'll try that again, but this time the squad much more clumped up. So you see an indicator as well that's going to fire the shell. Oh boy, and that scattered long and did almost no damage to the squad there, so looks like its performance against infantry a little bit unreliable. I want to try it one more time just to be sure. This squad's super clumped up. Hope it actually lands. Okay, so a direct hit this time on a super clumped up squad still at quarter health. So against infantry you may just be better off relying on the main gun. So now testing the Fragmentation Shell against a vehicle. I want to see if I could get multiple at once. So drop it here. So it looks like it landed short, but still stunned all those vehicles, maybe for like 2.5 seconds. KV-2 is also going behind tech. 10 command points now and requires tier 4, similar to the IS-2. The Defensive Tactics Commander is being changed here. Tank traps and the PMD mines are being merged into one slot. So those PMD mines are kind of like S mines, but don't have the warning indicating flag sign things. And anti-tank overwatch ability is being added. This should make defensive tactics a little bit more appealing to use. Also a few bug fixes. I figure I'd just pick out a few ones that I think are most important. The Ostheer Puma was doing less damage than the OKW Puma at Vet 3. They're supposed to get a 1/3 damage bonus, so they do 160 damage per hit, but that wasn't happening. So slight buff in that department, or just bug fix really. And this is a huge one. The OKW flare traps, the ones from the Overwatch commander, used to generate negative cover like right around the capture circle, but that is finally gone. Hallelujah, I hated that so much. And also Volksgrenadier healing was accidentally enabled at Vet 4 rather than Vet 5, so that is being fixed. A special thank you goes out to all my Patreon backers. These videos are a lot of work, so if you enjoyed them, please consider contributing.